Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Global English Podcast. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Taylor.
Today, we are diving into a topic that honestly hits really close to home for me, and I know it does for so many of you.
Hmm.
It's about that big, beautiful, sometimes impossible feeling thing we call ambition.
Right.
Whether you're trying to, achieve fluency in English, launch a new career, or just find a way to live a calmer life, we all have those huge visions.
We absolutely do. And the universal struggle is this. You hold this bright vision in your mind, maybe for months or like even years, but the needle barely moves.
Ah,
You look around and the change you desperately want just hasn't materialized.
yeah.
That can be so discouraging, can't it?
It is. That's the moment of doubt where you start to feel overwhelmed or like you should just settle.
Mm-hmm.
You think maybe my dream was too big, Maybe
Yeah.
this is as good as it gets and I should just learn to live with the status quo.
But we have gathered some truly powerful sources today that speak directly to this feeling of being stuck. And they give us the tools to break free.
Yes.
Our mission in this deep dive is pretty robust. We're going to tackle 3 crucial areas that will help you move forward. So first, we need to establish the clear English vocabulary and the structures required to accurately define and share your ambitions.
And second, and this is really the heart of it all, we are going to analyze the necessary mindset. We need to understand how failure, disappointment, and loss, which are, they're inevitable parts of life,
For sure.
how they can actually be used as fuel instead of obstacles. We're calling this the philosophy of falling forward.
And third, we're going to pull out practical, actionable strategies, simple frameworks, specifically the famous SMART method, and some focused techniques that you can implement, like today,
Yes.
to make that huge, intimidating vision feel manageable and real.
Yeah.
We're here to help you find both the words and the mental strength to keep moving towards your destiny.
That's right. We genuinely believe that the world needs what you have to offer, and we want to help you unlock that potential. If you are ready to stop just wishing and start doing, you are absolutely in the right place. But before we begin, a very quick moment to ask for your support. Please take 30 seconds right now to subscribe to Global English Podcast and like this episode.
It is the best way to help more learners find our community.
And it helps us keep creating these deep dives. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's unpack the basic architecture of ambition, especially for our B1 listeners. The language we use here, it really matters.
It does.
When we talk about the future, we often use the words dream and goal, kind of interchangeably, but our sources stress a critical difference. Can you start with the simple definition of a dream?
Yeah, that's an essential distinction. We need to be crystal clear about this. A dream, well, it's simply a big wish for the future.
A big wish.
It's the grand vision, It's something you really, really want that makes your heart feel warm when you think about it. And crucially, a dream is often big, beautiful, and sometimes pretty vague.
So it's the what?
It's the what.
Exactly.
I think of a dream as the emotional landscape. It's the feeling of living near the ocean or the feeling of having a calm life with less stress. Yes. Or the vision of traveling the world.
It's motivation pure and simple.
Exactly. It's the destination sign on the highway. Now, a goal, that's fundamentally different.
Okay.
A goal is the practical tool we use to reach that dream. It's similar, sure, but it has to be more specific and planned.
Right.
A goal is something you actively work towards, usually within a clearly defined timeline. It is the how.
So if the dream is the emotional landscape, the goal is the detailed map and the compass.
I love that.
So if your dream is to be financially secure, your goal can't just be make more money.
No.
It needs to be, I will save $100 every month for the next 6 months. That's planned.
Yes.
Specific action. Move the concept from fantasy into physics.
Fantasy into physics. I love that analogy. And for you, our listener, focusing on English, knowing the right phrases to share these ambitions is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at the simple, natural sentence structures we use.
Let's start with those big, less specific dreams. You have 3 powerful ways to express them naturally. The first is direct. I dream of.
Right. And notice we use the ing form here, or a noun, like, I dream of running my own English studio.
Or, I dream of becoming a famous painter.
The second is a close relative, but it uses the infinitive verb form. My dream is to.
Okay, so you might say, my dream is to write a book that inspires others.
Or, my dream is to finally understand financial investing. This feels a little more committed than the first phrase, but it's still focused on the vision, you know?
Right. And the third phrase is a bit softer, I think. It expresses desire without the immediate pressure of a fixed plan. I'd love to.
Oh, this one's great for those wishes that are still just ideas floating around.
Yeah. Like, I'd love to learn to play the cello, or I'd love to visit New Zealand someday.
It expresses hope without making a commitment you might not be ready for. It's a great starting point.
That language is so helpful because it sets the right expectation. Now, when we switch over to specific plans, the goals, the language must show commitment and current action.
Absolutely. We move from wishing to doing.
And the most common structure for that is, my goal is to, this signals a clear intention.
My goal is to save money this year.
Or, my goal is to improve my Spanish by taking weekly lessons. Very clear.
We also use phrases that emphasize current movement and planning, like, I'm planning to.
I'm planning to start a new hobby.
I'm planning to move to a new city next summer. This shows that, preparations are already underway.
And for the slightly less immediate but still concrete plans, we use I hope to.
Right. I hope to get a better job, or I hope to buy a house someday.
Sure.
It's a good bridge phrase, I think, between a dream and a concrete goal.
It is. But for me, the most powerful phrase is I'm working towards.
Oh, I agree. This is the active language of the warrior.
Yes. If you tell someone, I'm working towards a promotion, or I'm working towards saving enough money for a big trip, you are declaring that you are currently engaged in the effort.
It's active, not passive.
That's the language of self-accountability.
Yeah.
And, as our sources highlighted, people apply these structures to so many different areas of life. We need to remember that dreams aren't just about professional achievement. They span the full spectrum of potential.
We can kind of categorize them to show the variety. You have your career dreams, becoming a doctor, becoming a manager, which are usually about position and financial stability.
Then you have travel dreams, which are fundamentally about experience and exploration.
Like visiting every continent or hiking in Nepal.
Or seeing the northern lights. The goals here are often related to logistics and saving money.
And education dreams focus on personal growth. Finishing a degree, studying abroad, mastering a new skill like coding. These require focused, time-bound goals.
And often the most immediate and necessary are health and fitness dreams. Running a 5K, eating healthier, getting 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah, these rely so heavily on daily, consistent goals rather than large, distant milestones. And finally, creative dreams, learning to paint, playing the guitar, writing music, these feed the soul.
So whatever your big wish is, becoming fluent in English, running a marathon, or simply having time to read it is valid, but it requires the right frame.
To make this all real, let's revisit the story of Crystal, one of our listeners from Mexico. Her story perfectly illustrates the journey from emotional vision to, well, practical steps.
Right, so Crystal's dream was huge and frightening to study in Canada.
Think about that for a second. It means moving far from home, navigating a new culture, mastering a new language at an academic level.
Yeah, she was dealing with fear.
Mm-hmm.
Fear that her English wasn't good enough, fear of the expense, the fear of being alone.
And that feeling of being totally overwhelmed by the magnitude of the dream, that's what stops like 9 out of 10 people.
So how did she fight that paralysis of being overwhelmed?
Well, she didn't try to solve the entire problem at once. She asked, what is the first step?
Yeah.
And she turned that large, frightening dream into 3 specific, clear, achievable goals.
Okay, what were they?
Goal number 1, dedicate 1 year to improving her English from a B1 to a B2 level.
Specific.
Goal number 2, save a specific amount of money every single month. And goal number 3, apply to 3 specific universities, not just any university.
And because those steps were clear and measurable and time-bound, she could check them off.
Exactly. She wasn't chasing a feeling. She was achieving small tasks. And what happened?
She was accepted. And she is now studying in Canada, living her dream.
The dream wasn't achieved by luck. It was achieved by turning that fantasy into clear, hard work.
It's proof that a dream remains a fantasy until you give it a clear route, a timetable, and most importantly, consistent effort.
So before we move on, I encourage you to pause and ask yourself, what is the very first, smallest goal I can set this week to move toward my big dream? Maybe it's just writing the dream down using one of those phrases we just learned.
Okay, so defining the destination.
Yeah.
That's kind of the easy part.
It really is.
The difficult part, and the part our sources were most insistent on, is managing the journey. The path is never straight.
No.
And disappointment, failure, loss, they're all inevitable.
Yeah.
We need to talk about pain.
We absolutely do. The motivational content we analyzed is very direct about this. It says pain is a universal part of life.
Everyone experiences it.
Everyone. Heartbreak, financial loss, sickness, and, the messy consequences of poor choices we sometimes make. It's tempting in those moments to just shut down.
Or to become really discouraged. There's the human reaction to ask, why me? When we face setbacks.
Right.
But the core insight from the material is transformative. Pain is not there to stop you. It's there to prepare you and increase you.
Increase you.
Yeah. Pain develops something in your character that only difficulty can grow.
That idea is so profound. It means that the struggle itself is the training. If you never face disappointment, you never learn resilience, which is, the ability to bounce back quickly from hardship.
Right. And if you waste your pain, meaning if you let it overwhelm you and stop you entirely, you miss the opportunity to grow new confidence.
Precisely. Pain changes us permanently. You will not be the same person after you've struggled through a massive language plateau or after you've recovered from a financial disaster.
No, you won't. And the choice you make in that moment of change is critical.
Yeah.
Do you become bitter, giving up, complaining, asking why life is unfair, or do you become better?
Rising up with new passion and confidence that was developed in the trenches.
Our sources encourage us to be a warrior, not a whiner.
Okay, let's define that. For our B1 listeners, a whiner is someone who complains a lot, usually about small things, and gives up easily when things get difficult.
A warrior. Well, a warrior is someone who accepts the difficulty, understands they are strong enough to handle it, and continues to fight for their destiny.
It's an active choice.
And this warrior mentality leads us directly to Denzel Washington's philosophy on risk.
Yeah, he stated it so clearly. Nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks.
If you want something genuinely new and remarkable, something you never had, you must be willing to do something you never did.
And that, by definition, involves risk.
This challenge is a very common, very comfortable piece of advice we all receive. Make sure you had something to fall back on.
The safety net.
The safety net. Denzel argues against having one. Why? Because if you have a safety net, you won't give the primary goal everything you have. You'll settle for less.
So his directive is this. If you must fall, you should fall forward.
And this is more than just a catchy phrase. It's a detailed strategy. Falling forward means you keep your eyes open, you analyze what went wrong, you see where you're going to land, and you immediately use the momentum of the fall to propel you into the next action.
You don't retreat, you adjust.
I think that is so important, especially for language learners. Falling forward means trying a new, complex English structure, making a huge error in front of a friend.
Oh, the worst feeling.
The worst. But immediately noting the correction, thanking the person, and trying the corrected phrase again in the next sentence. You failed, but you learned and moved ahead at the same time.
Exactly. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's an integral part of success.
There's that powerful phrase, if you don't fail, you're not even trying.
So true. We often forget how much failure precedes the success we admire. Our sources gave us incredible statistical evidence of this. Let's look at baseball legend Reggie Jackson.
A superstar. Hall of Famer.
People remember him as a superstar, but how many times did he fail?
I have a feeling it's a lot.
Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career.
2,600 times.
That is the most strikeouts in baseball history. 2,600 times he stood at the plate, swung, missed, and walked back to the bench.
Wow. That is an astonishing amount of public failure and disappointment.
Can you imagine the self-doubt? Yet, nobody remembers the strikeouts when they talk about his legacy. They remember the home runs.
The failure was a relentless, necessary prerequisite for the eventual success.
And think about Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb. We celebrate the light bulb, right? But not the process. He conducted 1,000 failed experiments before the 1,001st attempt finally worked.
And when asked about his failures, he famously said he hadn't failed. He had successfully discovered 1,000 ways that didn't work.
He was constantly falling forward, using every mistake as data for the next attempt.
This is the mindset you need for your goals. When your new business idea fails or you fail an English exam, that is simply data. It's telling you to adjust your approach for the next 1,000 attempts.
Denzel Washington shares a beautiful personal anecdote about this very process. Early in his career, he saw an amazing opportunity, a role in a Broadway musical.
Okay.
It was perfect, except for one significant detail. He couldn't sing.
He auditioned anyway, right?
Yeah.
And naturally, he didn't get the job.
Nope. That's a clear public rejection. Most people would have taken that as a sign that, musical theater was not for them and they should quit.
But he didn't quit. He walked out of that theater, and instead of lamenting the failure, he kept preparing for the next audition, the next role, the next opportunity.
He kept failing, but he kept showing up, relying on consistency.
And here's where the payoff comes in. 30 years later, after decades of consistent work and accumulating success, Denzel returned to Broadway to perform in a highly successful, award-winning play called Fences.
And the venue for that achievement, the Court Theater, the exact same theater where he had failed that first musical audition 3 decades prior.
That is powerful. The place of his greatest professional failure became the place of his greatest dramatic success.
The lesson is so clear. You must have the training, the talent, and most importantly, the guts to fail and keep showing up.
So, when you face hardship, the self-inflicted pain from a poor choice, or external pain from loss or rejection, remember, you have a critical choice.
Bitter or better.
Don't let the pain overwhelm you. Don't waste the experience. Use it to develop character, resilience, and new passion.
The adversity you face is often proof that you have something big inside you worth fighting for. That dream, even if it feels buried under past mistakes or low self-esteem, it's still alive.
Now is the time to start digging it back out.
Every time you remember your dream, every time you choose better over bitter, you are removing the dirt and bringing your potential back to the surface.
The adversity is temporary, but the glory of achieving your potential is eternal. Okay, so we have the philosophical foundation, the warrior mindset that embraces risk and failure. But how do we bridge that high-level philosophy with the day-to-day effort? How do we take that huge, overwhelming dream and break it down into achievable steps?
That word overwhelmed is so important here. For our listeners, overwhelmed means having too much to do, too much information, or too many confusing feelings to the point where you feel scattered and paralyzed.
Right, you just can't start.
You can't. And to fight that paralysis, we use a framework called SMART goals.
The SMART method is an absolute essential for turning ambition into measurable achievement. It's a way to test your goals to make sure they are practical and realistic.
Yeah, let's dedicate some serious time to breaking down each letter clearly, as this is the actionable mechanic our listeners need.
Okay, so we start with S, which stands for specific. Your goal must be clear, detailed, and narrow, not vague.
Right. If you say, I want to learn English, that is just too vague. You don't know where to start or where to finish.
A specific goal is, I want to learn 100 new English vocabulary words related to finance this month.
Or, I want to write 1 short story in English by the end of the week. Specificity removes confusion and shows the target clearly.
And why is this so hard? I think it's because specificity forces commitment. Vague goals allow you to just float.
So true. Okay, next is M, for measurable. You must be able to track your progress. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
So instead of, I want to exercise more, which is subjective, you say, I want to walk 3 kilometers 3 times a week.
You can easily measure if you walked 3 kilometers or not.
Measurability is crucial because it gives you small wins. Every time you track progress, you get a hit of motivation.
Yeah, people often skip this because they don't like keeping records, but tracking progress is literally tracking momentum.
For English, I want to practice speaking for 30 minutes every day is measurable. Did you do 30 minutes? Yes or no?
Simple. Then we move to A, for achievable or realistic. The goal must be something you can actually do with the time, money, and resources you currently have.
This is where we temper enthusiasm with reality.
Yeah.
Setting a goal that is too big is often just a form of self-sabotage. It guarantees failure.
I want to speak English perfectly in 1 week is not realistic.
No. It's better to say, I want to have 1 English conversation with a native speaker this week, even if it's only 5 minutes. That is achievable and builds confidence.
Which is realistic. Okay, R is for relevant. This letter ensures your goal matters to you and fits your bigger dreams.
Right, so if your ultimate dream is to travel the world, a goal to learn Spanish is relevant.
But if your dream is better physical health, a goal to learn advanced computer coding is likely not relevant right now.
Relevance ties your small, daily grind back to your massive, exciting dream. It provides motivation on difficult days.
Yes. When you're tired, you ask, does this 30 minutes of study connect to my dream of living abroad? If the answer is yes, the fatigue is easier to overcome.
And finally, T is for time-bound. It has to have a deadline.
I want to finish this English course by June 30th. A deadline creates healthy pressure and prevents procrastination.
And procrastination, for our B1 learners, is the act of putting off important work until later. A deadline fights that delay.
So let's put all 5 elements together into a truly powerful, functioning goal.
Okay.
You could say, I want to practice English speaking using online materials for 20 minutes 3 times a week for the next 2 months, ending on October 31st.
Now that is a roadmap for success.
Now that we have the mechanics, how do we keep that focus? Because life is full of distractions, what our sources call dream thieves.
Ah, the dream thieves. Notifications, the comfortable sofa calling your name, the temptation to multitask.
All of it.
The first strategy for focus is critical. Choose one main dream for this season. A season might be the next 3 to 6 months.
Right. If you try to build a business, become fluent in 3 languages, and run a marathon all at once, your energy will be scattered. You'll feel completely paralyzed.
It's like trying to pack 10 suitcases for a trip when you're only allowed one. You have to choose the most essential things.
So by selecting one main priority, say achieving B2 English fluency, you give your brain permission to ignore the lesser priorities temporarily.
Those other dreams are just patiently sitting in the back seat.
Exactly. The second strategy is the daily anchor. This is one incredibly small action that you commit to doing every single day, no matter what.
It has to be consistent. Consistency is better than perfection.
And when we say small, we mean small.
Wow.
15 minutes of focused coursework, 5 minutes of speaking to yourself in the mirror, reading 1 page of an English novel.
Think of this anchor as a tiny snowball. If you roll it every day, eventually becomes an avalanche.
Consistent, small action done again and again is infinitely better than an occasional huge burst of effort, followed by 3 weeks of nothing.
For sure. And the third strategy is to protect your attention. When it's time for your daily anchor action, you must actively fight the dream thieves.
This means putting your phone on silent, turning it face down in another room, closing all unnecessary computer tabs.
And finding a dedicated focus corner that signals to your brain, this is serious time.
Even 10 minutes of undisturbed, dedicated focus is more powerful than an hour of distracted stop-and-start effort. You are protecting your dream by protecting the time you dedicate to it.
But what happens when the road you meticulously plan becomes impossible? We have to address the challenge of transformation. The sources provided the story of Jesse, a young man whose absolute dream was to be a professional soccer player.
He trained intensely, sacrificed years of his life, but at 18, a severe knee injury made playing professionally physically impossible.
His original dream, his life plan, was dead.
That kind of loss is devastating, and this happens to all of us. A financial crash, a health issue, a geopolitical change.
Jesse's turning point was realizing that even though the plan died, the dream didn't have to die, it could transform. He realized he still loved the sport and had immense knowledge. His new goal was to coach young players. He kept his passion and purpose, but changed the application.
This is a vital lesson in resilience. If your original plan doesn't work, if the school closes or the funding runs out, don't throw away the entire dream.
Ask yourself, what else is possible using the skills and passion I already have?
That question opens new doors instead of closing them.
Finally, we need to focus on dealing with self-doubt and the inevitable obstacles. When you are moving forward despite difficulty, you need language that signals your persistence.
Yeah, use phrases like, it's challenging, but I'm not giving up.
Or, I'm finding ways to.
For example, it's challenging to save money right now because of inflation, but I'm finding ways to cut small costs every week.
These phrases show that you recognize the problem, but you are active, not passive.
And remember the importance of self-loyalty. If you miss a day of practice or even a week, don't let that one failure stop your entire progress.
Right. You are not striving for perfection. You're striving for persistence. Be flexible, not rigid.
At the end of every day, ask yourself honestly, am I for my dream or against my dream? Choose to be for your dream, even if it's only for 5 small, focused minutes today. Okay. The final parts of our sources move beyond strategy into deep philosophical motivation. Denzel Washington paints a powerful, almost frightening picture that encourages us to use the potential we possess now.
He forces us to consider our legacy. Legacy, for our listeners, means the impact you leave behind or the story people tell about you after you are gone.
Right. And Denzel asks us to imagine a future moment.
Yeah.
You are lying on your deathbed, and standing around you are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential.
That image is haunting.
It is. And these weren't general regrets. These are the specific ghosts of the talents you didn't use, the books you never wrote, the ideas you never acted on, the language you never learned.
And they are angry, disappointed, and upset. because they must now go to the grave with you.
It's a profound moment of provocation. It compels you to confront the gap between the life you lived and the life you were capable of living.
We all have talents, gifts given to us, but potential is what you do with those gifts.
The fewer ghosts around your bed, the more of your potential you used. It reminds us with urgency that it is not too late to start becoming what we were created to be.
We should treat our potential like a muscle. If you don't use it, it gets weaker and weaker.
But if you exercise it, even if it's just the small daily anchor of 5 minutes, it gets stronger. And this ties directly into the concept of contribution.
Denzel emphasizes that the world needs help in every corner, from Africa to Alabama, the Middle East to Philadelphia. The world needs it from you, the young people, those who still have the energy and time to affect change.
You must give everything you have, whether that is your time, your talent, your prayers, or your treasures. And that word treasure needs a moment of definition, because it means so much more than just money.
Absolutely. Your treasures are the inherent gifts you possess and the positive character traits you cultivate.
So like your patience, your kindness, your love.
Or the gift of long-suffering. That is a complex term. But simply put, long-suffering means being patient for a very, very long time, enduring difficult situations without complaining or giving up hope.
It is resilience applied over years.
So what are you going to do with those gifts? Your contribution, in whatever form it takes, helping your family, speaking up for justice, or simply being a kind presence, is required.
Part of giving what you have is being brave enough to share your dreams with the world.
That can be so scary.
It can, but sharing your dream, even when it feels vulnerable, makes it more real. And unexpectedly, it can open doors. People might offer help, connections, or support you didn't even know you needed.
And when others share their dreams with you, be the friend who lifts them up.
Yeah.
Use those encouraging phrases. That sounds amazing. I believe in you. You can do it. Be a part of someone else's success story.
We also need to address the opposite, though. The people who say discouraging things.
Remember, their words are often about their fear, not your limit.
So true.
When someone tells you your goal is impossible or unrealistic, they're usually projecting their own regrets or insecurities onto you. Don't let someone else's insecurity, their lack of confidence, bury your ambition.
To wrap up this concept of legacy and persistence, Denzel shares a powerful anecdote about direction and fate. It shows that even when your path is messy, the vision can pull you forward. He talks about one specific day, March 27th, 1975.
He was 20 years old and struggling significantly. His academic path was a disaster. He had failed pre-med and bounced around different university majors.
His grades were terrible, a 1.8 GPA, and the university suggested he take time off because he was so lost.
He was helping his mother in her beauty shop that day, a place where he felt comfortable but, lost regarding his future.
Then, an older woman, one of the respected elders in the town, took the hairdryer off her head, looked him straight in the eyes, and gave him what he calls a spiritual prophecy.
A prophecy. And for our B1 listeners, a prophecy is a prediction about what will happen in the future. Something someone tells you is going to happen.
She told him that he would travel the world and speak to millions of people.
The takeaway here is remarkable. Denzel's path was full of failure and academic shame. But that prophecy, that deep sense of conviction, a strong belief or certainty about his future, it gave him direction and purpose even when the immediate path was totally unclear. He knew he had a destiny calling him.
His life proves that your journey will never be a straight line. It goes up, down, sideways, and sometimes you feel like you're moving backward.
But if you keep that prophetic vision, that deep dream, alive, it will act like a magnet pulling you through the hardest, messiest times.
Never be discouraged. Never hold back. Use the talent you have. Wow, we have covered some serious ground today. From the simple grammar needed to express our future plans to the deep, challenging philosophy of failure and persistence.
Here is the final synthesis. Your dreams are not just pleasant fantasies. They are valid plans waiting to happen. But they need two things to move from fantasy to reality. First, they need action small, consistent, focused steps laid out using the SMART framework.
And second, they need the right mindset. You must embrace risk, be willing to fail forward every single day, and consistently choose to become better instead of bitter when difficulty inevitably comes knocking.
Remember, progress is rarely a straight line, and life will interrupt your plans. But every small step, every time you come back to your goal, even after a long break, counts as a victory.
The key is to keep returning to the fight.
So we have a micro challenge for you, our listener. We want you to use one of the phrases we practiced today in the most direct way possible.
Go to the comments, or just think it in your head if you prefer, and write one complete sentence about your dream or your goal.
Make it specific. You could write, "My goal is to finish reading one English book this month," or "I dream of running a small coffee shop in my neighborhood."
Take that first verbal step toward your destiny.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration of ambition, failure, and persistence. Remind yourself daily, you are a warrior, and you are capable of far more than you currently realize.
And please, subscribe to the Global English Podcast for more deep dives, and share this episode with someone who is currently feeling stuck or who has a buried dream that needs digging up.
I'm Jordan. See you next time.
And I'm Taylor. Bye.